Chewie's been like eating people.
People, yes.
It's like, yeah, you gotta eat someone's ass, it's fine.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Sean, and I am here to tell you to hop on that Patreon page. We got ourselves exclusives that no one else in the world gets to check out. If you liked our discussion here, you get the full audio version, completely uncut, with a bunch of topics that we didn't have time to put in the video. We really appreciate you guys. Head on over there, get us a bit of support, and now I will stop yapping, and we'll get on with the damn discussion. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Sean Tank Top. I got Morgan, I got Scott, and we're going to talk about that movie that turned out to be okay.
It was not so bad. It was okay.
It was a fun little ride.
It was a little romp, right?
It was a little romp.
We're talking about Solo, a Star Wars story.
That's right.
Starring Dong Lover and Mr. Alt-Right.
Oh, that's not fair.
You're gonna need a nickname because I ain't saying that every time.
That poor young man.
No, it's just how I can't say his name. I can't say.
Alden Ehrenreich?
See, you can't say it, so I'm sticking with Alt-Right.
Yeah.
Even though it's
Alt-Right and Dong Lover?
Alt-Right and Dong Lover.
Dong Lover's been a good joke.
Dong Lover's a great joke. Alt-Right is slightly darker.
I had a really good feeling about this.
It's a movie that we kind of, all of us, I mean, you, and Max especially.
Yes, and I think Lindsay was on that train as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Lindsay.
I think you could just do a cut right now of us literally bitching about the production of this movie.
Is
Greedo going to be in the movie?
Oh, God, I hope so.
Jabba?
God, I hope so.
They're all going to be in there.
Sean, fuck it.
What were your expectations going into? Did
Absolutely
you hear
nothing.
about how?
I knew that it was having problems, and there was like, it might not be as good as all the other, might not do as well, and
Right.
like, I mean, it didn't do as well, but it wasn't bad. If this had come out after like the prequels, I think everyone would be like, oh,
Rebel.
maybe,
Yeah,
I don't know,
sure,
like,
sure. Kind of.
I think it's just coming off of those like high highs that it's like, you know,
Yeah.
it did its best, but I mean, it was a little
It did the
goofy.
Kessel Run in 12 parsecs,
In
if
12
if you round
It
down.
sure
I
did.
guess.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like it is funny how quickly we've become acclimated to like semi-competent Star Wars
Yes.
stories.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
because like, Force Awakens, it's a well-made pop film.
Right.
Made with like care and consideration
Sure.
and stuff. And, everything else has kind of been like, basically kind of like you have Rogue One, which is just like a nerd sightseeing tour, to like, Last Jedi, which is somehow controversial. I mean, in ways that I can understand, in some ways that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then we have this one, which is just kind of like, boop,
Yeah.
like whatever, it's like fine.
It veers into like really goofy, like eye rolly territory, but when it's fun, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I didn't like ever be like, oh man, how much longer is this gonna be? Like I just was there for the ride, and then you pop out the other side, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I think I like that movie, and then you kind of think about it a little, and then you're like, oh wow, did you know that he got his last name because he was drinking out of a Solo cup at a frat party?
Yeah.
That Toby Keith inspired.
Did you know he was
Red
listening?
Solo cup.
Red Solo Cup is the best receptacle, and you, sir, do not have a pair of testicles if you prefer drinking from glass.
Listening to Toby Keith and like, that's how he got his name, guys.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers,
Oh my
guys.
God,
My bad. My
spoilers
bad.
right
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
You knew that
But, like,
Toby
they
Keith
went into dumb shit like that, like, oh, that's how it happened. Like, where
Right.
it's like, no,
Right.
you think about your own life, I'm like, oh, when I was 8 years old, someone whispered in my ear, what if you had green hair? I don't know. And that's when I knew.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that happened one time. I remember this kid in 7th grade. He came over. He was like, sleeves are for losers.
So like in your biopic, it's like, oh, yeah.
No, I mean, like
there was a lot of that.
There was a little bit of that. All right, cool. We're getting into spoilers right now.
Yes.
You might wanna buckle up, baby.
We liked the movie fine. We think that you'll like the movie fine.
It's also kind of impossible to spoil the film because it's a story of how we got to Han Solo.
Right.
So you already know who Han Solo.
Spoilers.
Han Solo's alive. He
Chewie-
exists. He grew
Chewie
up.
doesn't die.
Yeah.
There were elements of what you're kind of talking about, like where, like I don't know why I have to know this, and it kind of makes now. It's like now you think of like Ben Solo, and it's like
That's just a made-up name.
That's a dumb name that was given you by some guy at Pinewood
right,
Studios.
less than 50 years ago.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Like Star Wars has always been a little bit on the nose when it comes to certain characters, especially in the prequels, like General Grievous.
Right,
and,
yes.
And, you know, Marty McBad guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and now it's like Ben Solo, because you're a loner. You play by your own rules, and you're just alone by yourself. And I'm just like, and it was, I don't know, man. Like, that was tough. That was tough.
The term I came up with for this phenomenon that Morgan's talking about is cultural backfilling, where it's like, it's basically, backfilling in construction is when you fill a hole with garbage so that you can like kind of like smooth over it or like make a good foundation or something.
It's cold patch on the road when there's
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, and I feel like
plot hole.
Also, like, not everything has to be a thing.
Right. Exactly.
Like sometimes,
Maybe this film actually does a lot of really deep psychological digging on Han Solo because it paints a picture of a man who's literally caught in the same moment of his life from when he's like 20-something.
Right.
And traumatized, and he never grew up.
He's emotionally
So okay,
stunted.
let's the movie kind of like gets going like right away.
Yes.
Like it just fucking barrels right into
There's
it.
like a car chase in the first 5 minutes.
Right,
That's
exactly.
pretty good.
Which is you know not unlike kind of like an Indiana Jones type of movie,
Yeah.
like where it's like we're in the middle of the action of this other thing. You know what I mean?
In medias res.
Right, and which I'm fine with, except for also with it. Usually that's kind of a benign like a single story that kind of propels them to the next thing, but then Kira, who's played by Emilia Clarke, who actually I thought did pretty damn good.
She did fantastic.
I thought she was going to be terrible, and I think she
really
did very
good.
well.
She did really,
She actually, it's the first time I've seen her. Well, I'm like, the first time is noticeable where her acting, it elevated the serviceable script, where it's like she was putting shit in her facial expressions that was not in the script.
Yeah.
That like there was so much subtext just like staring at her reactions to like the boss. I was just like,
and just like kind of like
girl.
Yeah, just like likable and earnest.
Yeah.
And just like I was like it was one of the things like I thought it was rushed, like because they immediately was like we're getting out of here, and I'm like whoa, holy shit, we're already getting into this. Like we're getting out of here, and then we're gonna go over there, and this is the plan, and blah blah blah, and like it was a decent jump off point. I would have liked it if it was a little more calm. But
it does seem strange because the relationship with Han and Kira, which is supposed to be, there are two like emotional centerpieces. Han's relationship to Kira and Han's relationship to Woody Harrelson's character. And they're both like, one's a romantic relationship and one's like a father figure kind of relationship.
Right.
But I feel like the film doesn't really bet on either of them.
If you come with us, you're in this life for good.
a weird worm lady comes
Yeah,
out,
sure.
which I kind of love.
I love her.
Yeah, I mean that was like a Jim Henson kind of like labyrinth kind of like moment.
Yeah.
You know, she's got like a weird voice. I just kept waiting for like some gelflings from Dark Crystal to come out. It's like fucking gelflings. And again, like you know, it puts Han in that situation where you know he's bullshitting his way out of the problem.
Right.
Excuse me.
You're welcome.
You okay? You
I'm just
step on a
allergic
mouse,
to
or-
really well-constructed CGI villains.
She was cool. How many underworld mob boss figures or clans or dark cabals of secret shadowy figures are in this movie? There's like they just throw a million references out there, and I know that the EU's full of them, and it's interesting in the abstract. But after I'm getting my seventh like set of names that I'm supposed to be presumed that they're a bad person, I'm like, all right, I don't know who that is.
It could have been Jabba the Hutt though. It could have been Jabba the Hutt, and I didn't want it to be.
Yeah.
I want it to be, you know, I want it to be
because everything
more,
doesn't need to be a thing.
It doesn't
right?
need to be
Yeah.
a thing, not yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Or like
and
a callback, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And
I'm
so
glad
like,
that she wasn't some like other like future character. We're like, oh, that's where they met. Like,
Right.
I'm glad
Right,
they didn't do
right.
that because that would be stupid.
that would be rough. I mean, this was like for me. I said it in our little trailer reaction. I'm rooting for Ron Howard to get a W, and I mean maybe
I think he got a W,
maybe
unbelievably.
Oh my God! I mean, like you know, we just saw an example of this Justice League.
Yeah.
Where another filmmaker. She's just laughing about. I just say Justice League and Morgan laughs.
Yeah.
And I'm just like Martha.
No, but like, and we just had this one where you know, trying to take another director's vision,
Right.
kind of, and hammer a circle into a square. And this one actually kind of fucking worked.
If I had to describe my expectations going into this film, I would say morbidly fascinated with the shit show of production that was going on more than the movie. I didn't even really care what the movie was
And the
about.
fact that, a fun little movie came out of it.
And
You're like, wow.
That's exactly right. I was blown away by it. And I do think that the workaday people on this, Ron Howard or the people who showed up or did all the reshoots, 70% of the film was redone after the initial.
70%?
Yes.
Jesus.
Lord and Miller wrote a completely different film, and they just redid it. You know.
Fascinated.
And
I want to know what that film was.
No.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah.
No, release the Lord and Miller cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're starting the campaign right now. I
Right
want it to be
now.
5 hours long, surrealist, absurdist kind of comedy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
I want Lego guys. We'll get them all in.
Job from Arrested Development will be there for some reason. You know, like it'll be great.
Hello, Solo. He gets in. He meets Chewie. Chewie's been like eating people.
Yes.
Chewie,
Chewie's
I
very
love
hungry.
Chewie as a man eater. I love it.
Oh, here she comes. She's a man eater.
He's such a like sweet little guy, and you forget he's like a ferocious fighter.
Right.
He's like a monster.
Do you think like now when you watch the OT and everything else after that, he's just like looking over at like like Mon Mothma, and she's like, that bitch looks delicious.
No, I think it was like a what was that plane crash movie?
Oh.
Where they like it's that situation, survival's a bitch.
Right.
It's like, you gotta eat a
The
motherfucker.
Wookiee Donner Party.
Yeah. No, the rugby team that crashes in the mountains, right?
They're called Alive.
We are alive.
Alive.
You know, yeah.
So it's like, you gotta eat someone's ass. It's fine.
Prison's rough, man.
Insert the gif of the dog eating ass and then it vomits.
Oh right. Yeah, we just saw that. That was just, no,
I think that it is kind of weird that they set up this lovable Wookiee character. Because even in A New Hope, Chewbacca's presented at the first blush as being scary.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
immediately he's like, I love you,
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
And it is weird that now, like when he's dancing around with the Ewoks, I'm gonna be like, that guy has eaten people.
But the
you know what I
Ewoks-
mean?
The Ewoks also, remember, they were gonna eat
They
them.
were gonna eat. That's why
they
were
got
supposed-
along so well.
They were supposed to be. They were. Well, I mean, in the original.
That could have been a dance about eating people.
No.
We're gonna eat you.
Kind of disquieting. I didn't mind it necessarily though.
It's
I
just
didn't.
so
I didn't
strange.
dwell on
Why?
it.
Why did they
And
have
then
to
all
do
of a
that?
sudden, we find out that Han can speak Wookiee,
Right.
But
or
he
whatever.
but
Like,
he chooses
literally
not
goes,
to later.
Yeah.
He never does in the other movie, so he's choosing not to, and I feel like that's a dick move.
Yeah, right.
I think it's really culturally exclusionary for Han not to address the Wookiee in his native tongue.
no, I mean no.
Like, why does Chewbacca have to listen to everybody? If the person who could talk to him in his
Literally,
native tongue.
Yeah.
right. Like there wasn't ever one thing where it's like, brrr, like whatever, like
Right.
even just like a little something, like
But when Chewbacca's hurt, that would be a time where Han would talk to him.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
That'd be really
Yeah,
sweet.
he busted out for like the moments where it's like, oh, you're okay.
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
We're in the army now with Han, and we're fighting unnamed rebels somewhere.
And he
we
meets Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, and we meet the crew. We meet the guys. We gotta get out of here.
Putting a crew together.
That's right. Yeah. Crew was kind of a bunch of cliches, but whatever. You
They
know.
work though.
You got
Yeah.
the
Me, it
demo
works.
girl, you got the pilot, you got the whoever,
Yeah.
this snarky spider person.
The emotionally endearing but zany CGI pilot. That I was
Yeah,
like, you
right.
are dead
I didn't
instantly.
mind. I didn't
you know?
mind him. I was like,
He was
I'm-
fine.
I actually kind of was.
He
sad
was
that
wearing a
everybody
helmet,
picked
so
the
I
guy.
thought he was Boba Fett at first. Anyone who was wearing a helmet.
Anyone that has a home.
I
Oh,
was
the
just-
girl.
No, anyone who had a helmet on. I'm like, oh, that's Boba Fett.
Where's
Oh,
Secret Boba Fett?
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't.
I got you. I
was-
got you.
I just that.
Well, again, we were kind of waiting for a lot. I will say this: they did have some stuff. They had a lot of that in there.
Yeah.
There were some big, there were some large ones that they just never fucked with. No Boba Fett, no Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
Although, but they
no
make reference
Greedo,
to the,
Yeah.
they make
which
reference to
I
Bossk. They make reference to Jabba. They make if
Reference.
they want their cake. They want their cake and to eat it too. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like they're
They're
not.
fleeting references, which I can abide.
Sure.
I can abide better.
Sure.
So then they set up, and then
How'd
they
you
put
like the Star Wars Imperial Army brutally conquering people? I thought that was kind of cool. Like
just to see it.
Yeah,
we
you know what I
always
mean?
forget, we're like, oh, we know they're the bad guys because they march around to ominous
Right.
music, but it's like to see them actually fucking shit up. You're like, oh, that's why.
Like
Yeah.
they're literally doing it. Like
Yeah.
they're that was interesting to see him in a cog in that way.
Yeah.
And to have a purpose and to be hopeful. I mean, that was the thing with this type of movie like this is that you can't really make it on the merits of its own story because we know what's coming.
We know exactly what's
like
going
we
to
said,
happen.
spoilers.
Yeah.
Chewie survives and eats people. So what it has to be is a character study.
Yeah.
And did it succeed in that way?
Ooh, I thought it did.
I thought it did okay.
I think that they
Yeah.
kind of just take Han Solo and then they take a young impressionable boy
Yeah.
and they draw a straight line between those two things, a series of events and people and interactions and relationships. And is that clever or genius? No, not particularly, but it's effective.
But it did
I
okay.
understand why Han Solo is who he is.
So going forward, they do the heist. They got the train thing with some guys with incredible core strength. Because, like, remember, it's turning on the side. And, like, wouldn't your legs, like, break?
Oh, my God,
you
yeah.
know, like, your shins would just be... That was a cool-looking sequence, and it was fun.
I liked it.
And then everybody died, which was, again, you know, because there's a bunch of people that can't die. So we got to kill off, like, almost everybody else.
Right, because death means stakes are raised in cinematic language, I guess.
You know,
and then Woody Harrelson's character needed motivation to be like, you know, out for himself. So of course you gotta kill his lady to do it.
The lady that we just introduced, who doesn't really, I mean, she was finely acted and it was okay. But
No, I thought she was great. Also, that relationship was interesting because he's supposed to be older Han. He's like, oh, this is what you, and he had like years of love with this partner.
Right.
Where it was like
it's almost like if Leia became a smuggler.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh look, a relationship that like works, and I'm like, obviously that's like a healthy, good relationship.
Who doesn't want a boss ass bitch you can rob trains with? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're all looking for that.
Yeah, but then I'm like, oh okay, of course you got to kill her.
Right.
It's like,
and then they go ahead and they meet up with Scarface Vision Scarface.
Yeah, Paul Bettany.
Once they're done, because Star Wars is just known for its great fucking musical numbers. Remember where he first meets Kira
in the lounge? Yeah,
in the lounge, and there's like the cool like Chanel Monáe, like whatever.
I was like, we were like,
then
that's
there's like
a
little
lounge.
squid guy who literally comes in and does like a squibbly hobbly bibbly bobbly. Like, he does like the fucking, I don't know. I just thought that was fucking great.
If this film was 1% more shameless than it was, it would have been like, and now for some light jazz music or jizz music, because that's what it is in the fucking, you know,
it's
from the Kessel Mine or Spice of whatever, you know.
Squibbly bobbly, skibbly bobbly. They was like literally like doing like the David Lee Roth
I was
shit.
thinking they were gonna introduce B. Arthur.
from the holiday special. One more chance, friend.
Just one more chance, friend.
It's like that new Kanye West song.
Scoopity poop.
Scoopity poop.
General Scoopity poop.
Was that little bullfrog guy a Kanye, like a secret Kanye
That's
West?
what it was, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
like that's what he
She's
was
like
doing.
Simson, and then it goes over to the bullfrog, goes hibbly bobbly, scoopity poop. Poopity spook poop. Right?
Oh my god.
Poopy dee scoop. Scoop dee dee whoop.
I ain't saying that every time.
And then Kira comes back into it.
Right.
And then that's when we start to get like, you know, that's when the relationship started to like actually work.
Yeah.
Because before it was just like, I love you, blah, 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 whatever.
Like exposition. We had this plan. We are going to get out of here. Like we've always talked about.
They got to have like a couple of
Yeah.
moments that were nice, and you're like, okay, cool. I like this. I can get behind this.
Which also Amelia Clark's face were like super excited at first, but then you see her like put up her little guard.
Yeah.
And like
Yes.
she did it all with her
She was
face.
percolating in there a little.
It was so good. Like all of her like
That's
face.
well said. I agree.
She did. She had this little face acting thing where she's reading the lines, but like her face is changing.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
this was the best. I mean, fucking those Terminator movies and
I
whatever
think,
the fuck
yeah.
else she was in, it was rough. But I'm like, oh no, is she not good? Like, she was,
which is funny because like
She's fine. She's
this
fine.
the way she reacted to like her boss on this is so much like
right.
season 1 Game of Thrones with her and her brother. Like
Oh,
every
for sure.
time he talked and like she just had to
Creepy.
like.
Yeah.
But she
creepy
just had
vibe.
to totally
Unsolicited,
like put up
like
this
shoulder
like
rubs.
Yeah.
this like face of like pleasantness where she's dying inside.
Yeah. That's
And
well
like
said.
it
A lot
was
of
the
that in
same
season
thing,
1.
like and with this character, it's just like a lot of like her like being like totally courteous and like
Right.
smooth,
Right.
and but inside she's like screaming.
Right.
A little bit of a Sansa vibe, like
Yeah.
playing the game.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
scheming. That's what I think.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
scheming
it.
as
More.
well,
you know?
like-
Yeah.
What do you think the HR department's daily workload on that sex yacht looks like, huh? Do you think Paul Bettany's really respectful to the female employees
Oh
there?
my
With this
God.
weird, like, kind of lightsaber sword, but not really a lightsaber.
Yeah.
It's like a lightsaber blade or
Yeah,
something like
one
that.
of many stupid weapons in this
Right,
film.
right.
What's the next move
They
after
got
that?
to go get the Millennium Falcon and they meet Lando.
That's right. Yes. So they have to
and
make
Donald
it up.
Glover shows up. And
Oh, so good. Love
He
it.
just,
enjoyed it.
yeah, loved him.
I really, it was one of those ones where I was like, to me, like Lando's the swagger and the voice. And
Yeah, sure.
I mean, or it's that's how you get there. I think.
Billy D. Williams is, I think, iconic in a number of different ways.
Right.
He was a pitchman for Colt 45, if anyone's not familiar. Which stop this video and watch that right now. Like, that's incredible.
There are 2 rules to remember if you want to have a good time. Rule number 1, never run out of Colt 45. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1.
And I thought that he rode that line between, if it was any more of an kind of more of like an impression, it would have hindered him a little bit. But
Dude, 2 thumbs way up. I would say the same thing that you said about Emilia Clarke. Dong Lover elevated the role.
Yeah,
You know, and
yeah.
that was great. And it wasn't a complicated role. I'm not saying you're going to get an Oscar, Donald, or whatever, you know, but like, he did a very good job, you know. Plus, he was fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when we watch Game of Thrones, sometimes there's like, I can't wait to see so-and-so again. They're just going to be fun and
They're
enjoyable.
fun.
And that's what I felt
What's that
like.
guy up to? Or
Yeah.
whatever.
I might be the only person who knows what you really are.
Right, they're on the sex yacht. You got to go do the Kessel Run to
Get off the sex
to
yacht.
pay off your debt. Okay.
This was like the centerpiece of the film, I think, by
Yeah.
and large. And I remember,
Although the film is, it is, but it doesn't work well because the film's really scattered in terms of like what is the emotional or the centerpiece of the film.
Yeah.
Like there are kind of 3 big action sequences and they're all fighting for the most important one.
Right.
And I think the Kessel Run is supposed to be it, but I was actually really confused by like what mattered in a lot of the action.
right? No, I remember. I was
Yeah.
just like, because all of a sudden, like Cthulhu shows up, like in the thing, and then he gets his skin pulled off of his face, which is fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
And kind of fun.
Weird
you know,
for
I
a
guess.
Disney movie to be like, all right, we're going to show a black hole disembowel
Yeah,
a flying
it was
space
like a
squid
slow,
monster.
Yeah, it was like a slower version of like that Alien Resurrection monster where he gets sucked out of like the little hole or
yeah.
whatever. You remember? Oh, we haven't even mentioned fucking Lando's droid
Oh
lady
yeah,
L3?
yeah.
buddy, who I liked.
Okay, I have very complicated feelings about her. I feel like she worked really well as a character, but a lot of people have been shitting on her because she's kind of like a social justice robot. I also dislike social justice pandering generally, but I thought the character worked.
She was
like
funny.
it was funny. I laughed. It
and,
was
and
vulgar.
entertaining. And like if you're funny and entertaining, who the fuck cares?
Right.
Also, like her like SJW-ness got us that image of that little robot stomping on the keyboard. Sorry.
That was great.
Whatever you need to do to get to that image, I'm
Right.
cool with.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
Like,
Yeah,
I was just
right.
like,
No, that
I don't
was
know
great.
why that
Yeah.
was so funny. I was just like,
That got one of the biggest laughs. out of,
I
like,
think I laughed the hardest in the film when I'm going to use the pronoun she, don't at me. When she sat down to talk to Kira, and instead of discussing the extremely dangerous mission that they were about to go on, she was like, I'm sure you've noticed the way he looks at me. You know what I mean? And
I know, completely
I was-
failing the Bechdel test. So it's like, why is everybody saying she's an SJW robot? It was 2 women talking to each other, but about a man.
But I think
So
it
it's like-
subverts that
It
because
is
it's...
Donald Glover, though. I mean,
I know.
Wouldn't we be talking about it?
I
Yeah.
think it subverts that as lazy writing, though, because it's just so facially stupid and funny. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's a
Like,
good- it's a good
I was
comedy.
dying
Well,
throughout
no,
that entire
that's a
scene.
I love the scene. I'm just saying.
And now I was thinking about that because she gets instituted into the hardware of the Millennium.
Huge
That was
thumbs down.
dumb. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
don't
weird,
get
but
it.
the only reason they did that because when C-3PO is looking at the thing, it's like the ship has the most peculiar dialect.
Just backfill.
and then you're gonna think of her being.
Is she sassing C-3PO like when he's like?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what it. I think that's what it was.
But I mean,
which
also-
is like kind of cute. Like that's pretty subtle reference.
Yeah.
Which is that's what I can. They get the crystals or the fuel charging.
I try not to be too snide, but we can just call it a MacGuffin.
Yeah,
it just
right.
doesn't even
They get-
matter
yeah,
what
they
it
get-
is. You
They
know?
get this thing, and then they're rolling out. They do the Kessel Run, which is a shortcut, not at the fucking.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought it was great. I was fine with it.
It also did spawn like the second best line of the film where he was like, yeah, you can tell everyone I did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. And Chewie mumbles something,
Yeah,
he's
right.
like rounding down. Like
Yeah, right.
that is so.
That's very much.
yeah,
fun.
that's great. I loved it.
Yeah, that was great. And then so we finally get done, and then you think that the movie's over, and then there's like another thing.
Yeah.
Which
There are,
is
like, 9
where
more
we
things.
get into double cross time.
Yeah.
Which it's double cross time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had what was the question that you
All
had?
right, one of the
about-
questions that I prepared for this because it was very hard for me to follow exactly what was going on by the end of the film, and I didn't really care, was how many double crosses is too many double crosses? Like, there was a moment where it just felt arbitrary as to who was going to end up on top of this because they just don't give you a good reason as an audience to suspect who's got it all figured out.
Right.
It's just turn after turn after turn after turn after turn. I thought Lando was going to bust in there and be like, no, I've got you all figured out.
No, Lando was the only smart one. He was like, fucking bye.
Yeah,
like, I'm on it. Which I thought that was a fucking fantastic gag. I really
Yeah.
like that a lot. And maybe this is just because we've been watching it for 30 years, but like, the double cross in Empire means something.
It felt really heavy.
It feels like a thing because I'm giving you over to the most evil motherfucker in the galaxy. When you kind of have, I think like maybe 3 or whatever it is.
It was like 3 double
It seems like there was at
crosses.
least 3 double crosses.
I literally just stopped. I just checked out.
Then we have like fucking Darth Maul shows up, which is like another thing,
So-
which we will get into.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a lot about production today because I'm just really fascinated with it.
Sure.
They wrote in the script it was just the boss. They literally didn't
yeah.
have an understanding of who it was going to be. They did shoots with Darth Vader in that role. They did shoots with other people.
shit.
And there's a reason that Kira doesn't address them by name. In fact, there's very little dialogue. It's just more about my
right.
boss,
So
my
just
boss,
kinda
my boss.
Yeah.
They just figured it out in post, and I guarantee that changed like 100 times.
Wow.
And they're like, I don't know.
I didn't mind it. I'm fine with it, but whatever. I mean,
Well, I
like,
think from the prequels, everybody was like, Darth Maul's a really cool villain.
Yes.
Stuck in the middle of shit. So I think they just wanted to have him again. Like,
yeah.
do something
Darth
more.
Maul is cool, but it's important to be specific about the way that he is cool.
Right.
He is visually interesting.
Visually,
Yeah,
and
that's the thing.
that's awesome. Visuals are
But like,
super
yeah, I don't really
important.
know anything about his like story.
Right, yeah.
like-
What gets Darth Maul out of bed in the morning?
all the way, I gotta
Yeah.
say, like, I mean, like, Ray Park, I mean, I know it's been a long time or whatever, but, like, Darth Maul's gotten quite a little bit of coke bloat going on in there
A little bit.
He was disemboweled and kicked down like a shaft. He's like half a robot.
You're right, yeah, you can't really do too much good cardio when you got
Yeah,
robot
dude.
legs.
Like, what do you make fun of people in wheelchairs?
What I hated
Right.
though, I was just like,
Why
which
right.
I don't know if they like meant it this way, but like. When Darth Maul drops that line of like, we'll be working very closely, and she does that
Yeah,
Amelia Clark, like
Yeah,
I'm dead
yeah.
inside, I scream. But I'm like, oh no.
Right, like,
you're gonna
yeah,
have
we
to,
don't want to
like,
just see it,
we don't
like-
even know what it looks like. Like, what does it look like?
Right, I'm interested.
It's gonna have like 5 spikes on it, and I'm
my
like,
God.
I was
We're
talking
like,
about
I
Darth
was
Maul's
scared for
penis.
her, and I'm worried, and I'm like, I know because it was written by a dude, and a dude wouldn't think of this, but I'm like, that's what every woman in the audience is like thinking. When he drops that line of like, we're gonna be working closely, like just like she used to work closely with the other dude. It's like,
Oh, man.
and it's like, yeah, thank you for putting that in my head,
Yeah.
screenwriters.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Thanks for making me think of Darth Maul's dick.
Right.
really appreciate
And it's like,
Also, it was like a pretty phallic kind of inference as far as like lighting up the lightsaber for no. We're gonna be working closely
close together. No, and I was like, don't need this, but
Don't want it.
Don't want it, don't need
Don't
it.
want it.
This
yeah,
review
I
has
mean,
like much more Darth Maul dick in it than I thought there was going to be.
So glad we took this job!
and they get done, and then he gives the payload, like the money.
Yeah.
He gives it to the almost Boba Fett girl.
Yeah.
Fucking who
Freckles McFreckelson.
Freckles Miss Freckelson, Frecklefett. He gives it to Frecklefett.
when they like were like, oh, there's something new for or something like people who are fighting, and then they draw the thing. I'm like, a Pokemon ball. I really thought it was a Pokemon ball, and I was like, shared universe. Whoa.
That Disney reach is getting really far now.
Oh my god.
But-
Solo, I choose you.
Yeah. I was so excited by, again, the visual design of those cool speeder bike people with the crazy masks.
Yeah.
And when they were understood to be rival thieves, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
I thought, and this is probably a rewrite, I'm going to be honest with you, but I thought the pivot of them into like the beginning of the rebellion, I was like, this is so dumb.
I didn't like that. Yeah.
This is just so unnecessary.
tacked
This
on.
film's already really crowded.
It would have been. I mean, like, I felt like you could have maybe done something like that and not have it be Indiegogo of the fucking alliance. You take a little bit for himself.
Yeah.
They
I
put
thought he
a,
just
they
wanted-
put
They
a drop
died.
in.
What's that?
Then they put a drop into the engine.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Not really
Okay,
stealing.
all right.
That was
Fair
also
enough.
kind of silly, but whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that was like a little.
How? I mean, I don't even.
Right.
Yeah.
Because,
I ain't no scientist. And it seems like you shouldn't be able to like the most like unstable shit on earth. Like you shouldn't be able to like.
That was one thing that I was kind of starting to get excited when they kept talking about how unstable that stuff was. There's a really fucking great movie if you want to watch called Wages of Fear. It's one of the best fucking movies ever. It's about this band of criminals that are kind of put together under extreme circumstances. They're busted, and the guy's like, all right, I got this one job. You got to take this dynamite up into this mountain and blow up an oil refinery that's caught aflame. If you can do it, you get out of here with your life. If you don't, then not. And it's the most tense thing.
That sounds very simple and fun.
That is
I would
what
like
I
to
thought
check
that would have been the better movie.
Yeah, this film could have lost a lot and been better.
Because it said a
just the
Han
Kessel
Solo
Run or
movie,
something.
not like the Han Solo movie. So it didn't have to be his origin story and his whole thing. It could have just been pop into time. Here we are.
It's Wednesday, and I'm Han Solo.
And
We're
then,
gonna go to work
here's
today.
Something that he
let's do
did,
it.
like 20 years ago. Here's the thing he did. Like it's like one little adventure.
Right.
And then you could do these all the time. You could have a bunch of Han Solo movies.
Right. I mean, like that because we talked about that. Remember what I said? I was like, they're not signing up these young motherfuckers for just one movie.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems. Is, again, talking about production of this film because I think it's like really instructive in understanding
It's a big part of what it is.
This is like so many other of these big blockbuster films now where they're authoring one, but it's explicit that if it hits, they're going to just keep it walking. They're just going to keep it going, right? Yeah, and I don't blame them. They're profit maximizing.
No, I mean, like they want to make their money. They spent $4 billion. They're getting that money back. What do you think about like a Disney Marvel verse? Like a Star Wars cinematic universe in that way? Because it seems like everybody wants.
Oh, you mean just like a separate?
Oh, I thought Mickey Mouse was gonna walk off a spaceship.
Yeah, no.
No. Chewie comes up.
I have altered the deal.
Yeah, right.
Pray that I do not alter.
You think it's Darth Maul, and then he comes up and he goes like, we're working together a lot closer.
Does these stupid things that should never work.
An SWCU.
That's what they're doing. That's absolutely what they're doing.
They want to do it. Is it going to work?
I think
everybody wants to do it. Comic books lends itself to that format.
That's true.
I don't
Very well.
know. Can you do that with this shit?
Would people
I think they absolutely are, and they absolutely will.
I feel like we saw a little bit of this, I don't want to call it Star Wars fatigue, but like with the numbers on Solo. But it didn't do great.
It's like we just watched Han die.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we
soon.
just watched his son like stab him in the fucking
chest,
heart.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like now that we've got like the legacy films back, we're in the middle of having the meal and they're still bringing us appetizers.
That's right, yeah.
Type of thing.
Star Wars started off as an accidental blockbuster that kind of redefined American cinema. It's like a pretty short synopsis, but it's huge. You know, it's this huge cultural epic event, right? It's absurd and gigantic and everybody loves it, right? I don't think Disney sees Star Wars as an epic anymore. I think they see it as like a TV show or a web series or something where they're going to do what you're talking about and just spin off as many things until it hits. And I wonder if that's degrading the idea of Star Wars, the grandeur, the Joseph Campbell monomyth sense of it, you know?
I will say this. I mean, I do think that there is room, given the right amount of imagination and ingenuity and good storytelling, to have different types of stories within this universe. And they're already starting to try to do that. I guess it's just this is going to sound stupid, but it's got to be good.
Yeah.
It has to be good.
Yeah.
It has to connect. I mean, like, it kind of, you know, like...
It's just so surprising, though, because I agree that it's got to be good, but then they go hire Lord and Miller, who are known to be zany, outside-the-box thinkers, right?
Yeah.
And they're going for something different, right? And then the studio's like, no, actually,
That
we need you to say that his name is Solo because he's alone. You know what I mean? And you're going to do it, Ron Howard.
No,
you know?
because the thing about Lord and Miller is that they are the kings of taking properties that I never wanted a fucking like a movie made about at all.
Yeah.
21 Drum Street, Lego movie.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Right.
Did anybody read that and be like, "This? We need to make a movie
We need to make
about
this into a film," but then making like really smart, interesting, fun, and occasionally kind of heartfelt.
Yeah.
You know, like works out of that, which is the reason that I was kind of jazzed from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then all this other shit.
And then all the
hit.
fucking trouble.
Right. All this. They thought that they were going to make a solo movie. They weren't.
I think that we should get a major push for release the Lord and Miller cut going because I just want to see what it was.
I would love to see what it was.
Yeah.
It's just like I wouldn't. I mean, like, well, no, I wouldn't want to see the Snyder cut. No, I wouldn't want to see the Snyder Cut.
I didn't even want to see the release. We just do it because we're masochists. You know?
That was one thing. I guess that's what we'll say. Like to kind of like sort of wrap it up. That is the one thing that I think I can say about this is the fact that fucking Ron Howard, cute little Opie, that good natured man, who I accidentally like deep shoulder like fight me bumped on the stairwell in Chicago.
Why are you fighting Ron Howard?
I'm not fighting Ron
Ron
Howard. I didn't mean to fight Ron Howard. It literally like he was making that what was it, that movie with Vince Vaughn and Kevin James in Chicago, and they were shooting it in my building.
Man, that sounds
and I was like running down the street to go get some lunch. They were shooting in this elevator or something like that, and I like just barrel through this tiny lovely man. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And he just goes, Jesus. And then he just keeps walking. It's like, I'm so sorry, sir, don't go.
Oh my God.
Oh, I felt so bad. But
join us next time for the anti-bullying, very special episode of House Burlington. It's going to be great.
Right. I mean, I will say, just given the clusterfuck that this movie could have been, given like, on the heels of Fantastic Four, Suicide Squad,
Justice League, Batman
just
versus
as far as,
Superman, like whatever.
Just hardcore studio meddling.
Yeah.
I have to. I got to give a quiet little
quiet clap,
golf clap.
It's like competence. We did it.
I mean, no, like
fun.
they salvaged it into something that I think that when it's on the fucking Netflix, I'll fucking
Sure.
that was the thing.
I'll fuck with that on Netflix for sure.
Yeah, well, that was one of those things where Han Solo is the movie where you talk about it and your voice pitch goes up. Where you're just like, how was Solo, a Star Wars story? You're like, yeah, it was pretty good. That movie that turned out to be okay.
It was a fun little ride.
I don't know. What did you think? What did you think?
Okay, I think I'm tracking with you 100%. We were shitting on this, and we have so many different
Gleefully, in a way.
Yeah, we have so many different opinions about movies here. Everybody has different things that they like.
Yeah.
This was the one that we were all convinced was going to be terrible, and it's like a B- film. It's like an slightly above average, competent, entertaining film. Big shout out to Ron Howard for getting it done, and I just really want to see the Lord Miller stuff. That is the number one thing that's in my head.
And the cast kind of also like him and the cast, like they.
Yeah. Oh, so let's do some favorites really quickly.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite character from the movie? Or actually, who is your favorite character from the movie?
Lando's cape.
Okay. Yeah.
When it was acting in the scene with Amelia.
Oh yeah.
That really that the chemistry that the cape and her had was like way more chemistry than she ever had with Jon Snow on Game of Thrones. I was like, maybe you should just cast that cape as Jon Snow. Put a little sword in his hand.
That would be good.
I didn't see Lando's cape be in the pick, but I see it now.
No,
What about you?
Favorite character? I actually enjoyed the guy who played Han. I'm not going to call him alt-right guy because that's mean. But Eidenreich or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't show you anything too challenging in this film with Han Solo. Like I said, it's a straight line between precocious young scrapper to Han Solo.
Right.
It's not super interesting necessarily, but they capture a lot of the tone. And I really like it when that character is like trying to be the quick thinking, gun popping, smart ass, and then you just watch it kind of fall apart a little bit. And the 12 parsecs thing was good. The calling out to the 30 guys on the ship that are about to come out here and ambush you was good. And like I liked it when he was just like generally bluffing. He was trying to figure it out.
He
did fine.
He was able to carry the film.
And again, competence. I actually enjoyed the main character. So there we go.
There we go.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Favorite character?
Sure.
Squibbly bibbly bobbly bibbly bibbly.